Hey everybody, today's vehicle in the shop is a 2012 Hyundai Veloster and it happens to need a wheel bearing, so I thought I'd film it, show you guys how to do a wheel bearing. First of all, as far as diagnosis goes, this one is really bad, so it's easy to hear. It sounds like a gravel truck driving down the road, but with any wheel bearing, typically you can shift the weight of the vehicle side to side and it's going to throw the weight to one side or the other. It's going to change the pitch. It's going to make it obvious whether it's left or right. I've done a lot of wheel bearings. I've had a few that were really hard to tell. In that case, you'd run them on the hoist and listen to them with a stethoscope. Sometimes they're so bad, like this one, where you can grab it and you can feel the play in it. I'm going to throw the camera under the car and show you where to look for play to determine if it's a wheel bearing play or if it's a ball joint play. All right, guys, I'm going to throw a dab of paint here so you can see right in here is where we're looking for play. If my focus stayed in on that, you should have seen some movement there. There should be zero movement. Lower ball joint is not moving at all. We could even grab that right here. Sometimes when you grab the wheel and you move it in that motion, it'll also, if the ball joint's worn, you'll see it in the ball joint. So it's good to identify. Obviously this one, I could just tell from test driving it, it was definitely going to be the left front, but it's nice when you can also have a visual cue to go along with that. So yeah, let's get into replacing this. All right, guys, I'm going to throw up a torque spec sheet really quick. I'll throw this up at the end too, but I turned the wheel to the right a little bit. It'll make it easier to get to the tie rod in a minute, but I always start off with a little just quick wire wheel on anything that's coming apart. Oh wait, that's not coming apart. Let's go here. And a little squirt of move it. Take your set screws out, hold the rotor to the hub. Got lucky, this came up nice. This one didn't. Caliper bolts are 17 mil. I'm using a swivel. Just open up this locking tab on your axle nut a little bit. If your gun's powerful enough, you don't have to, but there you go. 32 mil on the axle nut. Make sure there's movement in there. If it's seized, you're gonna have to spray move it all around it and focus on putting a punch into the center hole so you don't mushroom out the whole thing by whacking on it, but you focus the energy into the center and try to get that loose. All right. Get the tie rod off next. I don't like it. I'm not going to try to break that. We will pull it out and assess it on the bench. We'll see what's up. Put that bolt back in so I don't lose it. Sometimes these vehicles will go for alignments and shops will put in eccentric bolts which are gonna set the alignment. I do not think these are those bolts, but out of habit, I make a little indication here so I know where that bolt came out. If I tear it apart and it does happen to have an eccentric, it goes back exactly where it came and our alignment should be good. Just habits. So I gotta get this ball joint going too. Shit, I didn't notice this before. Try to get in with the camera. Even there's no play in this ball joint whatsoever. Boot's completely torn open. And there is dirt in there. Might just get this a new ball joint. I'm gonna pause this video and take a picture of that to show my customer before I tear it apart. Okay, I'm back. I texted my customer, I sent him a picture of the ball joint and told him, yeah, we should just do it while we're here because that makes sense. We're saving a lot of labor time. It's gonna fail eventually being a non-greasable joint with the boot torn like that. Once the dirt and stuff gets inside that knuckle, it's just gonna be turning around and wear that ball joint out prematurely. So lucky for me, I don't have to be gentle now taking this thing apart. I can do whatever I want to take it apart, but if you're reusing your ball joint, it's a bit trickier. There's a nubbin on the back of this knuckle right here, and the same as the tie rod, how you just whack it to deform the inside a little bit. That's where you need to hit it. But this style of a setup, it is a little tricky. I'm taking the easy way out since I'm replacing that joint. I'm just gonna throw a pickle fork at it and smash that down. There we go. Never ever use a pickle fork on a ball joint you're trying to save. Never. All right, I'm gonna chase this wheel speed sensor cable and we'll get that off. And then we'll do the last two bolts holding this knuckle assembly up. Okay, I've secured this bad boy to a big vise. I pinched it on the top here and I threw a big punch through the lower hole. That way if I put pressure this way on it, it's gonna lock itself into my vise. Now, I'm gonna use a press to do the bearing, but I'm gonna hammer out the hub. So green right here. Well, that's not even showing up my light. This is the hub, right? This is hub right here. So hub's coming out this way, and then we will remove circlip for the bearing, and I'll use a press to press the bearing out the other way. Yeah, you can hear how bad this is. Yeah, wheel speed sensor here. I left it in, obviously, and I'm not going to attempt to take that out. Looks like you don't need to. There's lots of clearance. Some sit tighter, and yeah, this one's fine. All right. I have a little socket, impact socket. I don't mind hammering on, 29 mil. Fits in there just right. Okay. Here we go. So we're gonna have to remove this inner race. There's lots of ways to do that. You could torch it and just heat directly on here and torch it really hot. It'll expand and get loose. I've also had success welding a bead around this entire thing, and the heat from the bead will actually do the same thing. It'll cause it to expand and get out. And then the other way is just to slice it, cut it, and then take a chisel to it and just give it a hard whack with a chisel, and that'll separate it and open it up. Probably gonna go the chisel way. You could also, I guess, get a tool to get in there and pull it, but I don't have that, so it's all good. Yeah, I'm gonna remove the circlip from here. Well, that didn't go as planned. I broke the tabs off. This thing was just one piece rusted. Could have attempted bringing heat into it, but it was really bad. I'm just gonna find a new one. Okay guys, my balls kind of came out when I picked this thing up, so I just peeled the cage out with the screwdriver. So we're gonna try to press on this inner lip here. In here. I found a tool in my ball joint kit that fits. Not perfect, but hopefully good enough to do this. I'm gonna support it. Remember to be careful with this cable. I'm gonna support it right here. Like this, just to get started. That's not gonna get the bearing all the way out, but it'll get it down to there. And usually the first bit's the hardest. Okay, so here we are at the tip. Now I need to support it higher up. What can we use? I don't know if you can see this, but old bearing race I just had lying here. This looks like it'll fit perfectly. Since it's already started moving and everything's loose, it's not really dangerous to press with this supporting it, but these can shatter under pressure, so. We'll clean all of this up. Here's our old bearing. To hammer my ball joint tool off of it, but yeah. Actually, I ordered parts. They should be in. I'm gonna have to go grab those, as well as I gotta find a new circlip now because I mangled that one coming out. Okay, so remember I broke that retaining clip for the wheel bearing? I went to go find one, and if you type in, so this is Lordco land, right? And Napa's the same, 2012 Hyundai Veloster. I went through everything and I talked to the guy at Lordco as well. They do not show a retaining clip for this. So you're kind of screwed if your dealership doesn't have one, so I thought. But my Napa guy did a bit of research, and what he did was he found HyundaiPartsPro.com, and this is the part number for the retaining clip, cross-referenced through Napa, and it comes out right here. It's a CIR55. CIR55. I'm going to measure it out, make sure, but it looks the exact same as the one that came out. So that is a valuable piece of information if you're doing this job, because it doesn't look like it exists, but it does. So if you found that useful, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. All right, let's get back to it. And when I hammered it with my chisel, it just opened it all the way up. It fractured, cracked it. You can't really see it, but that's all you have to do, and then slides right off. So we're done prep work for the hub and the knuckle. We'll throw it over on the press, and I'll show you guys where to hold everything to press it together. All right, guys, we're ready to press this all in. So I got my new bearing here. Now, on this type of ABS system, there's a reluctor ring on the axle shaft that the sensor's picking up. So this bearing can go in either way, and you're not going to mess anything up. Some vehicles, the sensor's in the bearing, and you have to put it with the magnetic side facing towards the sensor, but you don't have to worry about that here. So I got the surfaces cleaned on both sides. Now when we press this in, we can't press from the inner race here. That'll destroy the bearing. You need to press on the outside, okay? So I found something that fits my outside perfectly and I can press on. If you don't have something, what you can do, and I've done a lot, is just take the old bearing, clean it up to get the dirt so you don't fuck it up, but put the old bearing and use that to start pressing it in. So for the first stage, we support this just on the hard flat surface here. Okay, we're gonna push this bearing all the way in, and then we'll set the circlip, and then I'll show you how to press the hub, and we'll support it differently for the hub. Also, I just got a little shot to move it. Use a little bit of oil or something. It doesn't take much, but we'll just give it a little lube to help it out. Safety glass. Cool. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. See, we're all the way seated in here. And from the back side, there's now room. Everything went in good. I adjusted it a few times on the beginning there. It always kind of wants to start off a little crooked. Maybe it's my cheap press, but just don't like it grabbing crooked and pulling any metal. So adjusted it a few times and then it went in smooth. I'm gonna go ahead now. We're gonna put the circlip in, and then I'll show you how to press the hub. Okay guys, now we're back here. We're gonna press the hub into our assembly. Now, it's absolutely critical. When we were pressing it out, remember we just used this and we blocked it against here. That was adequate. Now that we're pressing the hub through, we have to support the inner race. That's where we have to put something. If you don't support the inner race and you support here and try to press the hub in, you're gonna destroy this bearing. So I found a socket, 3/4 drive, 1 5/8 socket. For me, that's gonna fit perfectly on this inner race. Hard to see, but you have to support that inner race. Okay. And then from the top side, we don't want to press and destroy these threads pressing directly on them. So I found this little piece here that'll sit in the top and I can press on that. Use whatever you want, but just make sure you don't mangle the thread or the splines here for the axle shaft. Okay, we'll give this a final wipe and a hair lube with some more Move It or something, or some oil. Let's do this. Okay guys, we got the hub assembled, the knuckle, we're ready to go back together, except I got to do this ball joint. If you're at this stage, I'll show you how to do ball joint, super simple. Otherwise, the only thing with this, it's all reversal of removal, is we're going to put never sees on these splines, and we're going to torque the wheel bearing, and that's important to set preload on this bearing. So as tempting as it is to send this bolt home with Ooga Doogas on a big impact gun, it's really important to torque this. I'll show you how to do that, but first we'll just hammer out this ball joint really quick. Okay, here's my old baby, boots all torn there. I guess you guys didn't see that, but all I did was I found a cup that goes over the bottom, see? And then I found something I could just hammer into there and press on. Going together is going to be a bit opposite. See, so I'm going to find something that sits in this lip right here perfectly. The snap-on ball joint kit's got a lot of good stuff. And then on the top side, I'm going to allow something to pass through. But we'll clean this knuckle up really, or this control arm up really quickly, and then we'll press this in. Okay guys, I reassembled this off camera. To be honest, I was just getting annoyed. I usually have music cranking, and while I was filming I didn't have music playing, so took a break, threw some music on, blasted this all together. Obviously I did pads, rotors, calipers. I'll probably make another video tomorrow since I still have to do the other side and show some tips and tricks on that stuff. But I wanted to show you guys how to torque this. So I'm just going to run this in gently with a gun, no Ooga Doogas. That's it. I have my fancy torque wrench set here for 202 foot-pounds. Now obviously when you go to torque this, it's just going to spin. Nice trick to do, just throw a punch in the top here against the bridge of the caliper. There it is. So now we have the correct preload on this bearing, and I'll just tighten this down with these axle nuts. Just take a little tap. There you go. So I torqued everything. Make sure you do that. When you're all done assembling this, too, grab the lower control arm. Make sure if you're reusing your ball joint, you didn't create an issue by beating on it to get it out or anything like that. Sometimes they can be so stuck that you kind of just screw the joint trying to take them apart. What else? I use Loctite on the caliper bolts to the knuckle. Make sure you put a cotter pin in the tie rod. It comes with a nylon lock bolt for the ball joint. And yeah, torque the wheels. Good to go. Thanks for checking it out, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, shoot me a thumbs up, and I'll keep posting more videos.